Breaking into luxury real estate isn't just about selling homes. It's about selling a lifestyle, a vision, and a legacy. Nancy Almodovar built her empire from scratch and is now one of the nation's top luxury agents. Today, she's sharing the mindset, strategies, and high-stakes decisions that set her apart. If you've ever wondered what it really takes to invest in luxury real estate, this is the conversation you need to hear. Hey, money movers. Welcome to another exciting episode of Her Money Moves. Today, we are here with one of the most accomplished powerhouse real estate icons in America. Nancy Almodovar has $1 billion in sales, over 200 agents, and she is international. She is an exclusive luxury real estate broker and developer. And we actually grew up on the same side of town, same high school. So this show is really special. I'm so proud of you, Nancy. Welcome to Her Money Moves.
Thank you so much. And oh my God, that introduction, to hear it is awesome. And, I'm humbled to hear it. And thank you for having me. This is amazing. And I forget sometimes that we grew up on the same side of town.
Yes.
Cypress, good old Cypress. And it's not what it used to be. I want to tell you, when I was going to school there, it was nothing but trees, and it definitely does not look the same anymore.
Yes. And you did all of that, which is so amazing. So let's go ahead and dive into your story. What first inspired you to pursue luxury real estate, and how did you break in?
Definitely. It's a very interesting story, and I don't think anyone wakes up and decides, wow, I'm going to be a realtor when I grow up. I certainly didn't have that in my plan. And, real estate was just something where I always say real estate found me. And when I started in real estate, I got into real estate to pay for my school. I was going to the University of Houston, and
go Cougs!
Definitely.
Me too.
And I was trying to find myself. It's so difficult at that age trying to figure out what you're going to do. I was engaged, which is crazy, at 21. And it was actually my husband's idea, who said, you should really consider real estate. And then my parents, of course, they're, big entrepreneurs, investors, and they said, you definitely should. So I got my license. I started selling, but I quickly realized that it was the same amount of work to sell a $100,000 home to sell a $500,000 home. The only difference was, it was the client, knowing what you were talking about, knowing the product, and really putting yourself in those circles. So I went and I interned because I really wasn't getting paid. So let's call it an internship for someone that was selling luxury real estate. And she was killing it. And I went to her and I said, I want to work for you. And she said, okay, I'm not hiring. So I basically just put myself in where I could, and I started to assist her. Then I started to sell. And that is where I got my foot in the door with luxury real estate, through her mentorship. I still talk to her till this day. 20 years later, that's insane when I say it out loud, but it's all about opportunities and just taking that leap of faith in yourself.
Yes, that's amazing. So what was the most pivotal moment that took your career to the next level?
I want to say whenever I sold my first luxury home, it was a condo, and I was doing open houses every weekend. And for any agents, any real estate agents that are new to the industry, I always like to say, make sure that you're doing open houses. It's the best way to shake as many hands as possible as you can. And I met an individual, I gave him great service and really connected with him. And when I closed that first deal and received that first check, it was like, okay, I got this, I can do it. Now I'm ready for the next one.
So you got that client, and Now, fast forward, how do you gain the trust of these high net worth clients in such a competitive market?
For me, it's been all about service. And with that is also hand in hand reputation, right? Reputation is everything. So it all starts with one. And that very first one brought me 3 others. I say we because I quickly developed a team, but I gave him really good service. He had lots of trust in me because I gave him good service and I did everything I said I was going to do. So then he referred me 3 friends. Those 3 friends, I was able to give them amazing service as well, went above and beyond what I could do for them. And then those 3 friends referred me another 3 friends. So it all starts with one. And, there's so many agents that think, okay, they wake up, I want to sell luxury real estate. It doesn't quite happen like that. It's all about the brokerage that you're with, the networks that you're in, the way that you carry yourself. I mean, there's so many different moving parts, honestly, but it's all about that first client and how you treat them and make them remember how they were treated.
Yes. It's all about how you feel and word of mouth.
Referrals are everything in any business. Wouldn't you agree to that?
Yes, absolutely.
And clients have to feel comfortable. And clients of that caliber, they have to be comfortable with their wealth. And if they're comfortable with their wealth in front of you, around you, the people that they're doing business with, then everything else would happen, naturally.
Well, Nancy, you've got that down because let me tell you, you drive around Houston, Texas, and on every single corner you see Nan Company Properties. So obviously there's a lot of people who you've built this reputation and a trust with this entire city and community and state.
That means a lot to me. Thank you just even for saying that. I feel like I started this company from my kitchen table 10 years ago, which I can't believe it's been 10 years. But it started off with a dream with lots of hopes and a lot of hard work. And it was the city, it was the community who gave back to us, who trusted, their biggest investment of some individuals' lives with us. So that's why we're so big in our city. I love Houston. I love Texas. So I owe it to them because, they believed in us and we believe in them.
So what strategies do you use to market to ultra luxury properties and to stand out from other competitors?
So when marketing an ultra luxury property, there's a lot of different components that go into place.
And let me tell you where this question comes from. So, my nephew Preston is on your team. Always filming and shooting these incredible mansions. And I'm like texting him, wow, that house is amazing. Like, how much is that one? How many bedrooms? Where is it? And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's out of my budget.
It's a lot of fun. Preston's amazing. He's actually my second longest relationship. I like to say my first is my husband, 20 years, and Preston's my second, 10 years, who happens to be your amazing nephew. And we have a great team, but marketing our ultra luxury properties, so many different things. They're on social media. We're a part of the largest relocation network in the world. So we can help clients anywhere in the world. But also if it's, a very high-end property in Houston, putting it on these platforms also helps other individuals that are in Dubai and, other parts of the world see them and help them get sold. But also your network is extremely important. And I've been building my network for the past 20 years. Every city I go to, every country I visit, I make sure to build connections because you never know who is moving to Texas. And let's just be honest, everybody's moving to Texas.
Yes. Well, that's a really great advice in any business, how important it is to network and to make those connections and to follow up.
For sure.
So what's one of the biggest risks that you've taken in your career and how did it pay off for you?
The biggest risk I want to say that I've taken has been betting on myself, because it can be very scary, right? When you're thinking, okay, I'm starting a business. I remember starting Nan 10 years ago. I mean, I had even my family members said to me, you're starting a real estate company. Do you know how many realtors there is in this city? Like, are you kidding me? What's going to make you different? So I took a leap of faith on myself, and I bet on myself. And I want to say that was the biggest risk that I've ever taken, but it was completely worth it, because what better to bet on than me? You know, I had control of it. I knew that failure was not an option. It was not in my vocabulary. So it was up from there.
I love that. So how do you handle high pressure negotiations with dealing with these multi-million-dollar deals?
I work out, I meditate, I breathe deeply. I mean, there's a lot of things that you do, right, when you're negotiating, but it's part of what I love about this job. I say job, I don't think I ever use that word, because when you love what you do, it's not a job. And it can get very intense. Long nights, very early mornings. I had a client that wanted to talk to me at 5:30 in the morning, you know, and to me that was like, I wake up at 5, so that worked out great. But what about those, you know, realtors that don't wake up that early? So it can get very, very intense. Those type of clients, you know, it's their time, so you have to make sure that you're available when they're ready to talk. But to deal with the pressure and to make sure you don't break, really just taking care of your body. I always say I have an advantage to others because I get 9 hours of sleep. You know, I don't drink every day. I do love me a good wine, but I don't drink every day. I work out constantly, and that really helps me have the right mindset whenever I'm negotiating those big deals.
So what is the biggest misconception that people have about selling luxury real estate?
I want to say the biggest misconception is probably that they can wake up and start selling luxury real estate. It doesn't happen like that. I've met realtors that have very great networks, or that have very wealthy families that they're a part of, but they're not taken seriously. So it all depends on the individual and making sure that you put in the time. You know, it's a huge misconception of, oh, let me get an Instagram and say I'm a luxury realtor. Or when you look up on Instagram and see all these agents calling themselves top producers, and we have a way to look up their production, and when I look it up, I see it and I'm like, they're not a top producer. So there is just, it's a lot of clout, as some people like to say. And it's very important to understand that at the end of the day, it's about the client. It's not about you. It's not about the followers. It's about, are you a professional? Do you do this full time? And do you know what you're doing? And you have the numbers and references to back it up. So really thinking they can jump into it and just start selling $1 million homes overnight. It doesn't happen that way.
And how has the market impacted the real estate industry right now?
So I want to say right now, I mean, in Texas, we're in the safest place that we can be. You know, we're consistent. Our agency, for example, has grown every year, at least 30% every year.
That's amazing numbers.
So we're growing. I mean, and I'm still sleeping. So those are great numbers. And we have so many people that are moving here. So again, we are in the safest place that we can be in the world, which is Texas.
That's amazing. And how do you build a personal brand that attracts these elite clients and luxury listings?
Building a brand has taken years, but definitely consistency. You know, being consistent with the message that you want these clients to have, that you sell luxury real estate, but you also play, you know, that luxury part. Where are you vacationing, making sure that, you know, you're letting them into your life, because again, the wealthy want to be comfortable with their wealth. So if you're their realtor, they want to make sure that they can relate to you and that you understand their needs and what they're doing. So it's consistency overall on all platforms. I mean, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, We have a PR team that handles our PR, but just making sure that the message is always the same, no matter what part of the world I'm in.
And what's one mistake that you see new agents making when they're trying to enter the luxury market?
A mistake that I see new agents making when trying to enter the luxury market is being a little too loud. Just because you have the fancy handbag and you're sitting on the expensive car, I always like to remind them you don't sell handbags and you don't sell cars. So it's not about showing off and trying to portray to be someone you're really not. Like, instead of doing those things, how about you go do a walkthrough of a beautiful home, whether it's your listing or not? So the clients that you want to attract see you working and see you doing the things that they'll need you to do.
What daily habits, because I know you said you're up at 5, what daily habits or routines help you to stay focused, competitive, and ahead in your industry?
A non-negotiable for me is meditating. I recently learned how to meditate probably about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and I have to do it. Even when I'm on vacation, I have to meditate for at least 20 minutes. And that has definitely been a game changer for me. I have a playlist on Spotify. I hit play, and that just means that I get to zone out, put my phone on do not disturb, and that just helps me reset, whether I'm having a great day, a bad day, just to start all over and be fresh again, because I deal with so much, not only running a business, clients, kids, a husband, dogs. I just rescued a dog. And so it's a lot going on. And for me, that helps me just start over and, tackle whatever comes my way.
Amazing.
What do you do to relax? We need to learn what you're doing.
Oh, you know what makes me happy? Dancing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Dancing, singing, traveling. I think when I'm really under a lot of pressure, I escape.
That's helpful, though.
I need to learn to meditate, though. I haven't tried that yet. But,
it's very hard for individuals that go as fast as we do. But once you learn to really battle your inner self and say, I have to do this, like, it's on my calendar every single day. I'm doing it. And if I'm on vacation, I know that if I want to have a great evening at dinner with my family, I have to meditate. Like, I just need that now. And it makes me such a better person.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try that. How do you balance business growth while maintaining the exclusivity that your luxury clients expect?
I live by my calendar. I call it calendar integrity. So if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. So I've had individuals that walk into my office or that show up to my office, hey, I need to talk to Nancy. It doesn't work that way. I have to live by my calendar if I want the things that I need to be done for that day to get completed. And in order for my business to grow, in order for my clients to be taken care of, in order for me to be taken care of, mentally, my family, I have to live by my calendar. I mean, I can tell you what I'm doing for the next 6 months. Meetings, closings, basketball, AAU practices with my son, tests he has, track with my daughter. I mean, charity events I have going on. I live by my calendar. And that is how I'm able to handle and tackle as many things as I do.
Is it color coded? Like, how do you?
Everything is color coded. Everything. The kids are color coded. Dinner with my husband's color coded. And some people think that's intense. You're crazy. That's OCD, but that's how I live. And that's how I have been able to, obtain that level of success that I've wanted to obtain. So it works for me.
I always say to people, time is currency. And that's why, you have to be very strategic with your time, and you can't get it back.
You can't.
You have to say no. And
learning how to say no is very hard, but I definitely learned how to do that a while back. And it has made me just such a happier person, learning how to say no, because I was the yes man. Like, yes, Nancy, can you do this for me? Yes, of course, sure, okay, yes. But once you learn how to say no, it's a sense of freedom that just makes me, a better person overall.
What role has mentorship played in your career, and how do you mentor aspiring agents?
I had great mentors when I, began my career, and I still talk to them today, which for me, I'm very honored to have the opportunity to do so. I haven't had many agents that I've mentored as much as I wanted, but definitely a handful. And to see them go from leasing $2,000 apartments to now selling $1 million homes has been such a great feeling for me, because it's a result of my experience combined with, me being able to guide them. So it's sort of like my own playbook that I carry in my head that one day I'm hoping to put on paper and be able to mentor and, coach many more agents. But it's just been a great feeling to see them become so successful from just doing the things that I advise them to do.
It is incredibly rewarding.
Very rewarding.
And what advice do you have for women on the pros and cons of investing in real estate?
Well, of course, I'm going to be biased when it comes to investing. I always say buy all the real estate that you can and hold as long as you can, because that's honestly how I have built my wealth. And so many people think, oh, it's because you sell $1 million homes. No, actually, it's because I own a lot of real estate. I lease out a lot of my properties. I bought commercial real estate. I've, sold a lot of real estate, and now I'm into Airbnbs, which I started to do just to kind of learn, but now they've become my little ATMs, as I like to call them.
I have one too.
Do you? And it's great. You set it and forget it. And for me, it's just been, very rewarding to see my real estate, just kind of like my mailbox money is very nice. So it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter if you're single, married, or what phase in life you're in. You should always be buying real estate.
Completely agree. Okay, did you hear that, money movers? You need to invest in real estate.
Yes, you do.
Can you tell us about the start of your portfolio and how you've built it over time?
So I'll elaborate a bit. There's different types of real estate investing. You can buy so many different types of properties. 1, houses, single family, same thing. 2, apartments, multifamily. And whenever you're talking apartments, multifamily, the bigger guys refer to them as doors. How many doors do you have? All that means is how many units. If it's 2 apartments, it's 2 doors. If it's 8, it's 8 doors. And then there's commercial. Commercial would be businesses where they're not homes, for those that don't really understand the different types of real estate. For me, I've owned single family. I've had multifamily. Multifamily was not for me. I currently still own commercial. We've had a retail shop where we sold it. Now we have our building in the Heights, which we own, and I love my space.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And we're looking to continue to really grow the commercial part of our portfolio. But again, when I was 21, I was buying flip homes, right? I was buying houses that were $100,000 or $80,000, and then putting $50,000 into them and then selling them so I could make a profit and then get into larger investments. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're single or married. I just say buy the real estate, educate yourself. Nowadays you can find it on YouTube. Just make sure that the source is reliable. And there's so many different opportunities for investing. So step 1 would be get your first home and get pre-approved. I have women, men, so young adults telling me, Nancy, I can't afford that. And then I ask them, have you been approved? What is that? Okay, you need to go get pre-approved so you know what you can and can't afford. Whether it's $100,000 or $150,000. Buy that first home. And then after you buy that first home, you hold it for a couple of years, then you can get a HELOC. Well, what's that? It's a loan against your first home where you can take the equity from that and then buy a second home. So there's so many different types of financing. When I bought my building, I went through SBA, small business, and we were able to get an SBA loan where we just paid interest on the loan and didn't even have a monthly mortgage, which I didn't even know existed. But because I wanted this building so bad, I researched as much as I could to educate myself. So there's something for everyone. It's just about, taking that first step and wanting to learn about what's available to you. And then second step, trying to figure out what is it that you want to do.
Wow. That was really excellent advice. And what's a piece of advice that you wish you would have known earlier? And it's very impressive. You bought your first house at 21?
Yes.
Wow.
But the only reason I bought my first house at 21 was to pay for my wedding. So my husband and I did it together. We bought our first house. We flipped it, made $50,000. And I was like, oh my God, I'm rich, right? 21, I mean, $50,000. I was rich. And we paid for our wedding. And then after the wedding, the next day, I was like, okay, we're back to zero.
We're going to start from scratch.
We're back to zero. So we need to go flip something else. But yes, 21.
I was 25 when I bought my first house.
That's awesome.
I was determined. I had my son DJ when I was 17, and I was determined for him to have a backyard to play in. And it was a house with a pool.
Wow.
And then we moved to China. Then we came back. I bought my second house actually through Nan Company, Renee.
Yay.
Yeah, so I was one of your clients.
Awesome.
And then left the country again for Angola, sold that house, and then now bought another one in Edo.
Good. That area has changed so much. It's gotten so expensive.
Yes.
But it's a good thing for you.
Yeah. I bought it a good time.
Good.
So what trends are you seeing in the luxury market, and where do you see it heading?
The luxury market trends, God, I feel like I've been answering this question so much. Our buyers are getting younger. When I started, they were oil guys, wealth managers, and mostly that was the industry they were in. And nowadays I'm working with 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds that got into crypto really early, made millions, and are able to afford, luxury properties. I have guys that, have come up with some really interesting websites, or a lot of tech individuals that have made a lot of money. So it's definitely changed on the type of buyer we're working with, where they've gotten younger and they just come from all different walks of life as far as industry and backgrounds.
And are you seeing more women buying homes?
Yes, definitely a lot more women buying homes. I come from an era where, the first step was you get married because that's what you're supposed to do first. And then number two is I say era like I'm ancient, right? But I just remember growing up, my parents said, okay, first step is you have to get married and then you buy a house. You don't buy the house and then get married. And I love that I see these women that don't feel like that's...
Yeah. Don't wait around for love.
No.
Because you might be waiting forever. I wouldn't have a house today.
But it's kind of, they feel like they have to check this box and you don't.
No.
I mean, start to invest as early as you can. Buy the house, buy the real estate, and jump in. Mm-hmm. Do it for yourself. You found love. You found yourself. So do it for yourself.
Yes. I love that. So what big moves are next for you?
Big moves for Nan, I would say expanding. We have a couple of cities that we want to open offices in, so not ready to disclose those yet, but that is something that we're working on and we're very excited about.
Love that. And what are you dreaming bigger about next?
I haven't thought that far. I think just getting our, opening our new offices in these cities is going to be a huge step, and it's going to take us quite some time to make sure we do it right, because anytime there's growth in our agency, we plan it. We don't just jump into it, make sure we execute properly, and then make sure that, we're still keeping an eye to make sure that office is doing great. We currently have 4 offices, so just hoping that we get to 8 quickly, which is
Awesome.
double. When I say it out loud, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you got this.
Yes.
Look what you've built already in
Thank you.
such a short amount of time.
10 years. I mean, yeah,
10 years is short. It's incredible.
for sure.
I remember during the panel, one of the audience members asked this fantastic question. I feel like I need to ask you on here because a lot of people can resonate with this. Family. How do you get your family? Let's say you're really interested in investing. How do you get your family on board and educating them and working together to ensure like everybody is moving up and has that mindset?
I talk about real estate all the time. I talk about what I'm doing. I used to not like talking about it because it kind of felt like bragging. But I have learned this myself, and I say it to other young women. You know, it's not bragging. You're just educating others. You're talking about the things that you're doing. Where I feel like growing up, I was taught not to talk about money. You know, I didn't have a good relationship with money. And now I love to say I have an Airbnb in Galveston that's 600 square feet, and it leases out for $200 a night, and we make about $5,000 a month. And so saying that out loud, you know, my family is intrigued to hear about it. My sister, she was single and she was in her 20s, and I started to tell her like, hey, when are you buying a house? Like, we got to go. And she was like, why do I need to buy a house? Like, I live in a luxury apartment. I don't need a house. And I was like, no, you need a house. We need to go get you a house.
You're just giving them your money.
Yes. So it's talking about it in front of them, having that conversation about money and becoming comfortable with it. So the more you do it, the more they'll want to ask and they'll want to, you know, learn and grow with you.
And I remember you saying that your family actually sits down and you have like monthly meetings even with your parents.
Yes, with my kids and my parents as well. With my parents, we would do it once a month where we would sit down and talk about what everyone is doing. But now that my kids are older, we're constantly, I think we meet about once a week and ask them, okay, what do we have? Because I want them to know what we have, but what we're working on as well. And treating them as their children doesn't always work. I mean, my kids know about contracts. They know about tenants. They know different legal terms, which can be scary at times. You know, my daughter the other day say, Mom, were they subpoenaed? And I was like, where did you learn that? She's like, you. So it's important to teach them, right?
Yes.
So we're definitely meeting weekly, monthly, and annually.
That's amazing. That's so important. We don't talk about money enough. And yet every single day of our lives, we have to make a financial decision and we're not prepared. So it's important to talk about it with your families, with your friends, the entire community so that we're all rising.
Right. I love that. Very important.
All right. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I know you've got a lot of running around and deals to make.
No, thank you for having me. This is great. And congratulations to you and all of your success. You're killing it. I'm so proud of you. And thank you for always including me.
Thank you so much.